Weekly. I'm your host, Keric Seegmiller. It's great to be back on the show after a few weeks away. Today we'll recap last week's swimming and basketball results, as well as hear from baseball head coach Chris Pfatenhauer and women's basketball junior guard Gabrielle Cabanero in our player profile feature. It's a loaded show today, so let's get this thing started. Trailblazer Weekly starts now. We tip off the show today with men's basketball as the Trailblazers return to the Burns Arena to host Azusa Pacific after a stretch of 5 road games over the last 2 weeks. Not only were they back at home, but they also had the opportunity to avenge a bitter loss suffered to the Cougars in Azusa in December. Let's take a look at those highlights. Quincy Matthews doing his part early. He had 9 points in the first half. He didn't want to see his team lose to Azusa once more. Brandon Simister, a 3-ball straightaway, so good. We'll take a look at that one twice. He hit 3 of those in the game. There's another shot just inside the arc from the right side. Brandon had a great game, 15 points. We'll hear more about that later. Trevor Hill, a deep 3 from the right wing in the second half. Then Taylor Youngblood didn't play a lot, but immediate impact with the scoop in the lane. But this game really belonged to Marcus Bradley. You see the baseline right side jumper there, which was mimicked a little bit later by Brandon Simister. But again, back to Bradley with a big block there. He filled up the stat sheet, including this. The play of the night, Trevor Hill, loses the ball, falls to the floor, regains, and there is Marcus Bradley for the thunderous 2-hand throwdown. After that, Zach Hunter, the nail in the coffin with the jumper from the right elbow that would put Dixie State up by 6, eventually leading to the 67-62 victory over the Cougars. Like I mentioned during the highlights, Marcus Bradley filled up the stat sheet, finishing with 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Quincy Matthews and Dub Price also chipped in 9 points each, and we really could have gone a number of different ways with our Impact Player Award, but this week the honor goes to Brandon Simister, who finished with 15 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and including those 3 triples from outside. So congratulations to Brandon Simister, our Impact Player for this week on Trailblazer Weekly. Again, Dixie State able to avenge that tough loss last month and now have a new winning streak at 2 games with 4 games to go in the current 5-game homestand. To women's basketball now, as the Trailblazer women were also happy to be back inside the Burns Arena and hope to end a 3-game losing skid as Azusa Pacific came knocking on the arena door. Let's take a look at those highlights as well. Lisa Van Kampen played in her first game in a couple of weeks. Impact early in the game, a block on the defensive end, and then a layup on the offensive end. High degree of difficulty on that play. Dixie State would hang close throughout the first half. Termina Jordan, 3-ball straightaway. She knocks it in. Then Shelby Kasuba spinning to the left, a left-hand floater, another high degree of difficulty shot off the window. Hannah Roberts checked in. She had back-to-back buckets in the first half. There's one of them there. And then Termina Jordan again, 10-foot jumper from the right side. She sinks it. Dixie State got out and running in transition after forcing the turnover in the second half, trying to stay close in this game. The layup there from Termina Jordan, but the Trailblazers ultimately fell 69-48. Termina Jordan finished with a team-high 10 points. Maddie Ventling added 9 points, while Lisa Van Kampen contributed 7 points and grabbed a game-high 10 rebounds. Trailblazers are now 2-10 in Pac West play and continue their 5-game homestand on Saturday. We'll tell you about the opponent a little bit later in the show. A quick note on women's swimming before we run to our first break. The team headed to California last week for meets at Mills College in Oakland on Friday and at UC Santa Cruz on Saturday. The Trailblazers cruised to a 122-53 victory over Mills College on Friday, but unfortunately, that's all the information we have. We're still waiting on results from the meet on Saturday and hope to have those for you next week. Trailblazers have now completed the regular season. Will compete in the PCSC Championships in Monterey Park, California, beginning February 8th. With that, it's time to take our first break. When we come back, we're joined by baseball head coach Chris Peyton to preview the upcoming season, as well as discuss the Trailblazers' spring weekend festivities. It's all coming up after this timeout, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
There is a place where rocks bleed and nature blushes on a battlefield green with envy, where dimples determine destiny and a tiny wooden tee holds the outcome in the balance. There is a place where friends are opponents and opponents are friends, where the prize is elusive, the conquest is captivating, and the score isn't settled till the drinks are down. There is a place.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android.
This is awesome.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
There is a place where rocks bleed and nature blushes on a battlefield green with envy, where dimples determine destiny and a tiny wooden T holds the outcome in the balance. There is a place where friends are opponents and opponents are friends, where the prize is elusive, the conquest is captivating, and the score isn't settled till the drinks are down. There is a place.
Your daughter is having trouble learning French. Do you A, hire a tutor?
Bonjour.
B, enforce a French-only rule at home? Or C, watch some foreign films? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Live from the CEC TV studios. Today we're back to the interview locker. I'm pleased to have baseball head coach Chris Pfatenhauer joining us on the show as the Trailblazers begin work for the 2017 season. Coach, as always, thanks for being here. I know it's a busy time of year. You're getting ready to go and you squeeze in some time for us, so thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
Your season opener is a little more than a week away. You're going to load up the bus and head down to San Bernardino, California for a weekend series down there. That's just next Friday. It's hard to believe that the spring sports is here. That kind of snuck up on me, but probably not on you and your staff. As coaches and players, you're probably chomping at the bit to get back there on the field.
Yeah, we can't wait. You know, we've played ourselves so many times, and we need somebody else in the other dugout, and certainly excited to get on that bus Thursday and get this thing rolling.
Last year, you qualified for your 5th consecutive West Regional appearance. You had a 2nd place finish in the Pac West. To go with that, of course, you always want to get that 1st place finish, and that's why you can look forward to the next year every year. But take us through the off season from that point. Maybe a little bit on your recruiting. Who are some new recruits you have coming in? What have you been able to do to ensure that you can get back to the NCAA regionals again? Yeah, well, I mean, obviously recruiting's the key. You know, bringing in the right players and a talented group, and our coaching staff did a nice job with that. And we didn't have to replace a lot. You know, we only had, I think, 6 or 7 seniors last year, and you know, position player-wise, Tanner Marash and Sam Hall were key losses, big ones, but only a couple spots to really replace. So feel like we did that. You know, Tyler Baker is going to step in and play shortstop for us. He was with us last year, but had to redshirt since he had transferred in. And you know, position-wise, we had another transfer from out of Oklahoma, Logan Porter, who's a catcher, first baseman, designated hitter type guy, who I think is going to hit the middle of our order and produce a lot. On the mound, a couple left-handers that are really going to be big keys for us. Matt Mosca, who came from Mesa Community College, and Brad Dan Sizen, who came from Cochise. Those are kind of the key transfers. We got a lot of new guys. We got guys that we really like and are going to contribute and be big factors for us in the future, but those are some guys that are going to help right away. Of course, you know, some people, some coaches, players, fans like to say there really is no off-season. Sure, you're not out there on the field playing somebody all the time, but you know, a lot of it's on the players to have that work ethic to get out there and to do their individual workouts during the summer and to be back ready for camp. And how much emphasis do you place on that as one season ends and you go into the off season and get ready for another one? Yeah, we put a lot. You know, we have a lot of guys who go play summer ball. We're one of the few sports that have that. We actually have college summer ball all over the country.
We had 13 of our guys out playing last summer. We really encourage that unless summer school is something that is paramount, if they've got to get that done to be eligible, or sometimes work, is a priority in a family. But we like our guys to get out and play summer ball, have that experience. We've had many guys in our program that we finish our season, they leave here 2-3 days later, head straight to summer ball, and they return straight from summer ball and don't even make a stop at home during the summer. So we have the luxury, a lot of those kids are from Las Vegas and northern Utah and around here, so they're close to home as it is. But we think it's very important our guys are out playing all summer, with the exception of some of our arms. Some of our guys throw too many innings, we'll pull them back. Or Dylan File, who threw, I think, upwards of 90 innings last year, we only wanted him to throw about 20 innings in the summer, and the program we sent him to kept him at 21, which we were really happy about. But we think it's really important, certainly in our sport with some NCAA regulations and guidelines, we're limited in the time we can spend with our guys. So it is important that they take advantage of our cages and, throwing and doing some things on their own.
A few minutes ago we talked about your recruiting trail and some of the new guys you have coming in. Let's talk about this year's team and who you have coming back, because you've got a whole lot of experience coming back with 14 seniors on the roster. How helpful is that for you as a coach to look at that roster and you shouldn't have to worry too much about leadership within the team because of all the experience you have coming back?
Yeah, not only the 14 seniors, but we have 23 guys in our program that have played in an NCAA regional before, whether that was for us. We've got a couple that played for other programs and have ended up here. So a lot of guys who understand the importance of the daily grind of what we do, and certainly we still have to facilitate a lot of things, but there's a certain vision for each of them of what this should end like, and they know where we are standing on that Saturday evening last year at Cal Bap when we got knocked out in the semifinal. And so there's a lot of focus in the group. We certainly do return a lot of key components to what we've done offensively and defensively. We return our whole outfield from last year. We return 3/4 of the infield. We return both catchers. Obviously, Drew McLaughlin being a key guy there, who's a 3-time all-conference guy at second base. And then on the mound, we return 3/4 of our starting rotation in Dylan File, Mason Hilty, and Aaron Pope. And guys like Preston Hane, who threw a lot last year, Tyler Burdett, Walker Williams. I mean, we've got a lot of guys who have been in the heat of our conference. They know what it's like to travel in our conference. They know what the competition's like. They know what the preparation takes, and there certainly shouldn't be many surprises for them.
First official game, as we noted, isn't until next week, but this week you have your annual Alumni Game as part of your spring kickoff weekend. We'll talk about that game here in just a minute. I know you've got lots of good stuff planned. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the weekend and what else you have going on besides the game?
Yeah. Well, it's our 5th annual spring kickoff weekend. It's something I started when I came here, and I just thought it was really important to try and get involved with our alumni and have a function right before we kick off, really to ignite everybody and sell some season tickets and just do some different things. So we canceled our golf tournament this year because we've kind of put some focus in some other areas, but we're having our baseball dinner, our 5th annual baseball dinner on Friday evening at 7:30 in the Gardner Center. We'll recognize this year's team during that. We always have an auction, which is always really fun. We'll make it a point to honor Brandon Kinsler and Mike Littlewood, who former coach and former player from our program that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame on Saturday. We want to make sure to recognize them. And then on Saturday we'll have our alumni game, which currently we have over 34 guys signed up to come, which is our biggest group. We've got guys from as far back as 1969 up to guys that played last year. So that's the funnest thing for me, and our staff and our guys, to see old teammates and see these guys come back and be a part of what we're doing now.
And it leads right into what I was going to ask about. I said we'd talk about the game. Let's talk about that alumni game now. I mean, how big is that for your program? I mean, not only do you get some live game reps for your current guys out there, but you get to you put out the invitation each year to those former players to come back and say, you're still part of this program. Mm-hmm. We very much want you here to take place in this game. What does that mean for your program to be able to do that?
For one, just the activity of the game that day is important for us because it's really our last dry run. It's our last. Baseball's a different sport. I mean, it's a 2.5-hour project before the game starts in terms of our warm-up, our batting practice for both teams, infield, outfield, field prep, getting into the game. And so we like to utilize that day as kind of a final run-through for that. Obviously, once the game starts, we want to be able to function on our side like we would normally function in a game. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about the enjoyment of those alumni being back, those guys talking to our players watching those guys play. And we've had guys come back and, they're throwing 90-91 against us. We've had guys in batting practice hitting balls over the trees, so that's really cool for our guys to see that. But that's been my goal. Regardless of whether people played for myself, whether they played for Mike Littlewood, whether they played for Bruce Hurst, whether they played for Coach Jolly, whoever they played for in this program, they're still part of the family. And whether it was a Rebel, whether it was a Trailblazer or a Red Storm, we want everybody in our baseball family to feel at home and feel like they're welcome back in our facility anytime.
You mentioned this as well. You must have seen the script before, before we jumped into the interview. But you've got a former Dixie State baseball player and coach being inducted into the Dixie State Athletics Hall of Fame this weekend, and Mike Littlewood and Brandon Kinsler. How big is that, and what does something like that mean for your program currently as it stands, to have that recognition for your program?
It's important. We've had the 3 guys that have made it to the big leagues, which Brandon's the 3rd, and so we retired his number 2 years ago at our dinner, and now he's being inducted. So that's really important. I think it's neat for our guys to see that and go to the ceremony and see what's possible, if you really commit to this thing, and not only your time you spend here, but then what you do with that beyond here. And Mike Littlewood, he's obviously a figurehead in our program, on this campus, in our community. He was the head coach here for 16 years, won a national championship. Mike's been invaluable to me since I took the job. He, from the day that I accepted the job, him coaching me up on the roster, where to go to a dentist, where to, everything in and out of the stadium, and with our program, he's been influential for me. But in terms of him being inducted in the program, it's kind of a no-brainer. that guy belongs there.
He's head coach Chris Pfatenhauer, the Dixie State baseball program. They open up next week at Cal State San Bernardino in a weekend series. There, we'll have those results for you in the coming weeks on Trailblazer Weekly, as well as on DixieAthletics.com. Coach, thanks again for stopping by. We wish you the best of luck next week.
Thanks.
It's time now to run to our next break. When we come back, we'll look ahead at the next week in Trailblazer Athletics, as well as have a player profile feature with women's basketball junior guard Gabrielle Cabanero. Don't go anywhere. There's more Trailblazer Weekly after this timeout.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
There is a place where rocks bleed and nature blushes on a battlefield green with envy, where dimples determine destiny and a tiny wooden T holds the outcome in the balance. There is a place where friends are opponents and opponents are friends, where the prize is elusive, the conquest is captivating, and the score isn't settled till the drinks are down. There is a place.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me
And me.
help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android.
This is awesome.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
There is a place where the sun doesn't hide in the winter, where the greens stay green and the crimson canyons still glow. There is a place where dimples determine destiny, and a tiny wooden T holds the outcome in the balance. There is a place where we drive for show, putt for dough, and settle the score with another round. There is a place.
Your daughter is having trouble learning French. Do you A, hire a tutor,
Bonjour.
B, enforce a French-only rule at home. Or C, watch some foreign films. When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back to Trailblazer Weekly. It's time now to take a look ahead at the next week in Trailblazer athletics. Go ahead and follow along on your screen as we let you know what events are going on here in Dixie State Athletics. It all starts this Saturday. Nothing between now and Saturday, but men's golf getting their spring season going. It's an exhibition matchup with Utah that will be played at the Ledges in St. George. That's a 12 p.m. Noon start time for that exhibition against Utah. Then the baseball team, as we talked with head coach Chris Pfatenhauer, the Alumni Game at Bruce Hurst Field at 1 p.m. Invite you out, free admission for everybody to that. So come on out and support your baseball team. Really your first look at the Dixie State Trailblazer 2016-2017 squad there. That's early in the day Saturday. And then later in the evening, men's and women's basketball continuing that 5-game homestand with the women's game tipping off against Hawaii Hilo at 5 p.m. and the men's game following at 7:30 p.m. We had a great crowd against Azusa Pacific last Saturday. I invite all of you to come back and enjoy those great games on Saturday night, and great opportunity to help pack the Burns and show out your support for our great student athletes and coaches here at Dixie State. That's your upcoming schedule. Now, as always, we wrap up the show with our weekly player profile feature. This week, Trailblazer Weekly correspondent Shelby Young caught up with women's basketball junior guard Gabrielle Cabanero.
Gabrielle Cabanero from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm currently a junior and I'm majoring in computer science with an emphasis of information technology, and I am on the women's basketball team. I started basketball when I was younger. My dad is the one that actually taught me all the moves, so props to him. My family dynamic is huge. They're important to me. Everything I do is for them. And they're kind of just my backbone, my support. They motivate me to get better. When I'm having a bad day, they'd be there for me. It's great for my family to come down and actually see me play. They're only an hour and a half, so it's a great time to see them at my games. My favorite part about basketball is the momentum of the game and how energized, how high-paced the game is, and definitely hitting shots and making them. Pre-game rituals, I have this thing where I have to wear the nicest white socks. I don't know what it is, but it's just white socks. I gotta wear it for pregame. If I could play anyone one-on-one, it would probably be Steph Curry. I just want to see how quick and swift his moves are and how he shoots those threes. My go-to move is an in and out, crossover, left hand, and I would go straight to the basket, left side. It's comprised of 27 members, and 24 of them are Division II student athletes, and they're all across the United States and also international too. It's just been an overall experience. It's been great, and I make a lot of connections, new friends, and it's great to just have a student athlete voice, and that's very important. My career goals is to find a job in the IT field, whether it be back home or anywhere really, but I also want to get my master's too. I'm a huge music person. I love to play the guitar, the uke. I sing a little bit on my free time, and I can solve a Rubik's Cube, so that's awesome. Hey, I'm Gabby. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you at the basketball games.
Another great player profile feature, man. I wish I could hit half-court shots like that one at the end. I always try, and I always fail. But another great feature with women's basketball junior guard Gabrielle Cabanero. Always great to get to know our coaches and student athletes. That'll do it for today's show. Thanks again for watching. Remember, you can catch all episodes of Trailblazer Weekly on demand at southernutahlive.com and on the Dixie State Athletics YouTube page. Another big shout out to baseball head coach Chris Phatenhauer and women's basketball guard Gabby Cabanero for participating with us on Trailblazer Weekly and being on the show today. Again, thanks for watching. Enjoy your week. We'll see you next time on Trailblazer Weekly.